This lesson is going to talk about the cell structure and the function of all of the organelles within the cell. And so first we're going to talk about the two main types of cells. We have prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic, and an example of this would be like bacteria, have no membrane-bound organelles, and they do not enclose their nucleus in a DNA, and they're generally smaller and simpler than our eukaryotes. And so in this little diagram that I've drawn to the side, which will label the parts of it later, you can see the DNA is just floating around within the cell. It's not contained within the nucleus. And there's not really a whole lot going on in this cell. Just a couple components because we don't have any membrane-bound organelles, so it's pretty simple. Then the eukaryotics, on the other hand, which are like plants and animals, have membrane-bound organelles, so this makes them larger and more complex, and they also enclose their DNA within the nucleus. So this is how they differ from the prokaryotes. And in this circle, we're going to fill in a little bit later, we're going to draw all of the organelles within an animal cell. So we'll come back to this. So now if we go over all of the organelles and their functions, we'll start off with the vacuoles. And the vacuoles' main function is storage. And so if we're going to categorize which of the different cell types contain vacuoles, only plants and animals have vacuoles. And then lysosomes, these organelles are filled with a bunch of enzymes, and enzymes break things down. So basically these are kind of like the little cleaning agents of the cell, and so any components within the cell that need to be digested up or broken down will go to a lysosome to have that done. And so plants and animals, again, are the only types that have lysosomes, not prokaryotes. And then the ribosomes is where all of our proteins are assembled, and so both prokaryotes and eukaryotes have ribosomes. And then the endoplasmic reticulum, we have two different types. We have the smooth, which its main function is the detoxification of drugs, and it's smooth because it has no ribosomes present. This, along with the rough, is only present in animals and plants. Our prokaryotes don't have an endoplasmic reticulum. And then the rough endoplasmic reticulum is our site of protein synthesis, and it's called rough because it has the ribosomes on it, on its surface. So those are the two types of that. And then next is the Golgi Apparatus. And its main function is to modify, sort, and package things that come from the endoplasmic reticulum. And so this is present again in our plants and animals because it's working with the endoplasmic reticulum. So it's basically just a big packaging and sorting center within the cell. And then the chloroplasts are involved in photosynthesis, so this is converting light energy from the cell into chemical energy. And we know that only plants are going to have this, not animals, and our prokaryotes don't have chloroplasts either. And next is the mitochondria. And the mitochondria is basically the cell's powerhouse because it can convert chemical energy into a usable form for the cell. And it's also involved within cell respiration. So both plants and animals have mitochondria. Next is the nucleus, which contains our DNA, and again we said the eukaryotes have a nucleus, our prokaryotes don't. The cytoskeleton, which includes microfibrils and microtubules, like in the cilia and the flagella and things like that, is used to maintain the cell's shape and also the movement, like I said, with the cilia and the flagella. And so this is present in our plants and our animals. And then the centrioles help organize cell division, and these are only present in animal cells. And then a cell wall helps shape, support, and protect the cell. And our prokaryotes do have a cell wall, and so do our plants, but animals do not have a cell wall. And then the cell membrane functions to, again, protect and support the cell, but it is also able to regulate the transport of molecules into and out of the cell because it's selectively permeable. And so both prokaryotes and eukaryotes contain cell membranes. So now if we go back to our other diagrams on the first page to fill these in, if we look at our eukaryotic cell, we have a cell wall to protect it, and then we also have a cell membrane, which is going to help regulate the transport of things in and out of the cell. And then we have our DNA just floating around, not in a nucleus. And then these little dots are free ribosomes, which is where our protein synthesis is going to happen. And now if we look at our eukaryotic cell, which we said is an animal cell, first we can draw a big nucleus. And then we can draw an endoplasmic reticulum coming off of it. We can draw a rough endoplasmic reticulum with the ribosomes, and the smooth will be the part without it. So we have a rough ER, which is the endoplasmic reticulum abbreviated, with the ribosomes, and then we have a smooth ER without the ribosomes. Next, we can draw, this will be our Golgi Apparatus, which is the packaging and sorting center of the cell. Then we can just draw some free ribosomes because they don't always have to be attached to the endoplasmic reticulum, and these are for the protein synthesis again. And then we can draw our centrioles, which we said were for help organize cell division. And these are only in animal cells. Our plants aren't going to have these. And if we just draw some little spindly fibers around here, this will be like our cytoskeleton. Microfibrils, microtubules to maintain the cell shape. And then just the fluid inside of the cell is the cytoplasm. Then we can draw the mitochondria, our powerhouse of the cell. And we can just draw a little lysosome with the enzymes to help break things down and digest things up. And then this is our cell membrane. Again, this is an animal cell, so we don't have a cell wall. And finally, we can draw a little vacuole for a storage center within the cell. And so this, now if we look back and compare, our prokaryotic cell looks much simpler than this animal cell below. We have a lot more organelles, a lot more complex things going on. And so one other thing that we're going to go over is the amount of these different organelles within the cell can vary depending on the type of cell in the body that you're in. So cells that do a lot of protein synthesis we can expect to have more ribosomes. And also, along with that, we're going to have more rough ER, because that's one place where the ribosomes can be, which makes sense, because this is where protein synthesis happens, so cells that do a lot of protein synthesis are going to have more ribosomes, more rough ER. And so liver cells, which their function is for like detoxification of drugs and things like that, are going to have more smooth endoplasmic reticulum for detox, because that's their function as well. And then muscle cells are going to have more mitochondria for that cell powerhouse, so we can create that energy. So this is to increase energy production. And then finally, the secretory cells are going to have more Golgi apparatus to secrete mucus and things like that. So this is an overview of all of the different organelles and their functions within our different cells.